Welcome to the Business Boys Talkin Business Virtual Power Lunch. Please welcome your hosts, Tyler Price and Brian Magleby.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
We're back.
Talking business.
There we go.
Happy post-Halloween to you.
Hey, Halloween's a good time.
Well, I guess it is. You had a really good time.
Yeah, we always have a good time.
So, yeah. In fact, let's show our audience how much fun Tyler had.
There we go. Yeah.
There's the old 67 Bug blowing some smoke. We got Harry Potter.
Yeah, that was in Luna Lovegood there, my
Yep.
beautiful wife, and that was a good time.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, look at all that decorations.
And what was your costume?
My costume was laying flat on the couch.
Yeah.
I even only answered the door a few times.
Really?
That was my costume.
Yeah,
so.
no, we definitely had a good time.
Yes,
So.
that is awesome. And then we've got Tyson. We got Tyson and his daughter. Flash that up there. Wow, look at those costumes too.
Wow.
We got, that's who's producing our show here, and man, rock star there with his daughter. So great job, Tyson. So good deal. Well, welcome to
Talkin Business.
Talkin Business.
Or Tyson Business.
Yeah,
whatever.
Tyson. I'm Brian Magleby with the Idaho Innovation Center.
And I'm Tyler Price with the Small Business Development Center. And how about last week? We had on Dave Thewison.
Dave Thewison, rock star from Rexburg. Wow, he did a great show last week. And then we had a great topic of creating raving fans in business. And that was just absolutely awesome. But Dave Thewison, he's got quite I would call it an empire up there.
Yeah, he's done some really great things, and he definitely swims in a bigger pool than you and I swim in.
He
right?
does. That's a good way to put it.
But super humble, just works hard and wants to do right by the community, and has been doing that for a long time.
Yep,
So.
a great businessman from up there in Rexburg area. And we have a great show today. Casey Jackman will be here to be talking IF Community Hospital. Wow, what an impact these guys have made in the community here in eastern Idaho.
Doing great stuff.
Competition makes good things happen. So we're excited to have Casey here and be talking about that. Let's talk about this class that we have starting tomorrow.
Wow, it's a sales class.
Sales class taught by the one and only Jared Oviatt. And this is his second time teaching this class. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, you tell me of a business out there that doesn't involve selling something.
Yeah, for-profit business, it seems like we all have something that we got to sell and get done, and sales is the lifeblood of any business.
Yep.
So,
if you want to learn how to become better in sales and to do the disciplines of being in business, of creating more appointments, how many people do you have to go out and see to get the closes that you need for your business? 4 Wednesdays in the month of November. There's the registration link there on the screen. And go to idahosbdc.org and you can get registered. And it's going to be a great class. It's 1:30 to 3 every Wednesday in the month of November.
Yeah, worth every penny too. I mean, this one is one of the paid classes that you have.
That's right.
But Jared does great things at BBSI, who's one of our sponsors, by the way. We probably should mention our sponsors.
We should.
But Jared, really a great guy.
He is. And actually, stay tuned at the end of the show. I'm going to give away 2 $50 certificates to come to that class. So if you're listening in, or if you're even listening after, you can shoot me a text at the end. And if you are one of those 2 lucky people, we're going to give away 100 bones at the end of the show today.
There we go. That doesn't suck.
So that's right. So we are. Let's talk about the sponsors.
Well, BBSI, we mentioned them. Jared got a little bit of a plug there, as he should. But the SBDC, Idaho Innovation Center, I mean, you're doing great things there.
Couldn't be the show without these guys.
But also Volpine Marketing they manage the website. They make sure all that is working.
Just ran into Ryan. He's over at the Chamber Luncheon happening right now. He's got a great presence there with the Chamber. And we appreciate all the work he does to keep our website up to date with all of our shows for the whole entire year on there. So thank you, Ryan, at Volpine, and of course thanks to the SBDC.
And Tyson, right, at New Line Media.
New Line Media. If you need any video work done, highly recommend Tyson, the rock star that was on that picture a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
Check him out, New Line Media.
He had a client fly him to Greece to go and film some stuff. So this guy's
you
international.
know he has some credibility if people are paying
international.
for him to go to Greece. So
very nice.
So good. Well, let's kind of talk about, lead into IF Community Hospital. We're going to watch just a quick little channel, News Channel 6 video introduction. This was a little bit a while ago when they opened up, but it gives a great introduction of what is available at IF Community Hospital. And then we'll welcome Casey Jackman on.
After nearly 2 years of construction, a new hospital is open to the community. Topping our look at your health news, KPVI News that works for you journalist Kate Garner tells us more.
We think it's very important for the community because the community for a long time has been asking for an option for emergency care, an option for regular medical services and for acute care.
That option is the new Idaho Falls Community Hospital that opened Monday. Along with providing the community with needed medical services, the hospital hopes to be different from others.
I think the biggest difference that you're going to see here is the culture. The way we treat each other, the way we treat the patients, the way we treat the physicians. It's patterned much after the way Mountain View Hospital has been run.
The culture isn't the only thing the two hospitals share. Mountain View Hospital and Idaho Falls Community Hospital share the same main lobby, but they provide very different services. However, these different services are meant to be complementary to one another. For instance,
well, we're standing in the emergency room. That's the first one. We have a 22-bed emergency room that's capable of taking care of the vast majority of visits to the emergency room.
Outside of the emergency room, the hospital provides inpatient services, has an intensive care unit, and an interventional cardiac imaging center. But it's not just providing a range of services that the hospital hopes to accomplish.
I think us being able to establish our reputation in the community as a compassionate provider, I think I'm really excited to see where that goes.
In Idaho Falls, Kate Garner, KPVI News that works for you.
There is still some construction going on at the hospital, but none of it affects the ability to serve patients.
Wow. So when you were starting, you had a crystal ball and you could say, hey, there's a pandemic coming. Let's open a hospital. But what was that like? Because, I mean, maybe good, maybe bad. And you started, I mean, you were employee number one.
Yep.
And you built the walls yourself.
All by myself.
And then you had a pandemic. So a little bit of maybe stress, or how was all that?
Yeah, that was really interesting. Obviously, nobody saw that coming when we were planning for this to open up, and it definitely put us back on our heels.
Yeah.
You know, when they did the lockdown, we went quite a while without seeing anybody there.
Yeah.
And because everybody was staying home, being healthy, and you know, but. Couple months after the lockdown happened is kind of when COVID hit southeast Idaho, and it's been hard. Nobody knows how you're going to react to this virus.
Right.
We've seen people come in that have been 80 years old and they don't feel good, but they're okay. We've seen 20-year-olds come in that we weren't sure were going to make it, and so it's been a little rough to watch our community go through that, watch our staff go through it. It's been hard on the staff as well. Working a lot of hours. We've got nursing shortages that affect the staff, and have made it interesting to try and run day-to-day operations, and so it's been a handful.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and as Casey was coming on to here, he said, you guys need to lighten up the show a little bit. And then we started off with the COVID questions.
Yeah.
So good. Well, Casey, kind of go back and tell us why did Idaho Falls Community Hospital come about? And what was the reasoning behind it?
Great question. So the people that started Mountain View Hospital back in 2002 really felt like they could do something different in the delivery of healthcare. There's great healthcare all up and down this part of the state, and some very talented people. It's just the delivery of the healthcare that they wanted to focus on, and being able to focus on the patient and the family members, and focus on the experience and try and make it better. And unfortunately, there was some limitations that were placed on physician-owned hospitals that stopped them from being able to expand with regards to the hospital. Mm-hmm. And so next best thing, they really wanted to be able to offer the acute care, things like emergency room, cardiac catheterization, ICU, emergent surgeries, that kind of stuff. And so even though Mountain View couldn't expand to do that, they had some partners that they'd worked with in the past that they trusted and they'd developed good relationships with. And so that's who built a hospital 6.5 feet away from Mountain View Hospital. And,
Yeah, 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. By law, you know, if my hospital falls down in an earthquake, it's not going to pull Mountain View with it. But it's been interesting and it's been fun because Mountain View, I worked at Mountain View for 12 years before coming to Idaho Falls Community Hospital. Loved working there. The people there are amazing, and the drive and the ability that they have to work with the community and focus on the community, I've never seen it anyplace else. And so when they invited me to leave Mountain View Hospital, and work
step the 6.5 feet across the fence
and work at the neighbor's house.
Yeah.
It was interesting, but it was fun, and I still get to work closely with those people, and we have a lot of the same goals, a lot of the same things we do in the same direction. So we have some really cool things. Like this morning, we had new employee orientation, and because we are so closely aligned with how we do things, we can share things like that new employee orientation. I get to welcome people, and then somebody from Mountain View Hospital comes in right after me and welcomes them, and we just kind of talk about how we're headed in the same direction, working together, and it's fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what a great place that you have built over there. Kind of talk about what are some of the services that you have brought in there, and maybe look at what's coming down the road.
Yeah, lots. It's opening a hospital is interesting. You can't, you don't open up the gas and start off the race at 120 miles an hour.
No, you don't.
So it's been interesting going through the maturation of that hospital, especially during the pandemic. But we do have a 22-bed emergency room. We receive patients all the time from ambulances, both local and from out of town. Mm-hmm. We've got a helipad. We've got the capabilities to receive patients either from a helicopter or from a fixed wing. Great doctors that we get to work with. Man, I can't say enough about the guys that and the ladies that we get to work with at the hospital, that just phenomenally talented. We do have emergent surgery, as I said. We do have a cardiac program that we're developing, mm-hmm. and it's continuing to grow. We work really closely with the local cardiologists, and we're doing some really cool things there. We've had a couple of firsts that we've been able to do. The first this procedure mm-hmm. in town, and another one coming up, I believe today, is going to be another first working with the cardiologist. So just phenomenal to work with them on developing that program. Things like an intensive care unit. Unfortunately, we've used that a lot during the pandemic. Right. But being able to offer that service on our campus has just been, it's been a lot of fun to develop that.
Yeah.
So you go to ISU to study radiographic science.
Yeah.
And you went in with the idea, one day I'm going to be the COO of a hospital. But I mean, obviously you didn't.
Right.
But what was that journey like? So, because we have a great schooling in the area for nursing and for pharmacy and for other things like that. But what was that journey to where you're at now? What was that like?
That's a good question. Actually, the goal was leader of the free world.
Yes. Well,
that was taken.
You still got. I mean,
you
still got a day or two.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
No, I got involved in radiology because I would love to say it was for phenomenal reasons, but back in college I dated a girl that was an X-ray tech, and I thought it sounded cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I got to do MRIs, CTs, nuclear medicine. It's really kind of fun. You're playing with computers. You're helping people. You're able to work with the doctors closely. You get to do cool things like take X-rays in the emergency room or in the operating room. It's a lot of fun. But I had opportunities early on in my career to be involved in leadership, and started off leading the department, and then being able to work as they merged the two hospitals together down in Pocatello to form Portneuf. And I just really enjoyed it. There was something fun about working with the leaders in the hospital and being able to develop things. And apparently I'm a better leader than I was an X-ray tech. So they kind of pushed me in that direction. And it's just been a lot of fun to be involved in developing things and seeing them build. One of the best accomplishments I had at Mountain View Hospital was Teton Cancer Institute. Phenomenal place. They do a great job. Unfortunately, very necessary in this area.
Yeah.
But being able to develop that and then watch people be able to use it, it's very fulfilling. It's a lot of fun. And the people that you get to meet and start working with along the way have really just added to my life.
Yeah. Well, good thing that you found a girl that was interested in X-ray tech versus philosophy. Or
Yeah,
something like that,
lucky for me, that
Yeah.
didn't work out too.
Yeah.
But at least I got a career out of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Something, because a lot of times that's not the case. So
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. What are some things that they're looking at in terms of preventative medicine? Is that on your radar at all, or some of the things that you offer there?
Yeah, that's more in the realm of what Mountain View offers, but there's a lot of things out there for preventative medicine, specifically with COVID, obviously the vaccinations that are available, but they're working at developing, at Mountain View, they're working at developing a public health arm to be able to help people that don't have a primary care physician, or maybe they come through my emergency room and they're diagnosed with a new disease that's going to require some specialty help, and they reach out to that person to try and help them get set up with a physician in their area that can help them. So that kind of more proactive medicine instead of reactive medicine that I grew up with, it is really kind of cool to see the evolution of that in the field. And so, that kind of stuff is exciting to watch as they develop it. They just bought a great big mobile medical office that they drive around to the outlying communities to bring healthcare to people there instead of asking them to come into us. So.
Yeah.
Well, I got to say I have a set of parents now. They're not married anymore, but I've got my mother that just says, take me to IF Community Hospital, and she won't go anywhere else. And she's a frequent offender there. Love you, Mom. But
she's a smart lady.
She is, and she loves that. And my dad, he still likes to go back to the one across the street. But I got to say that I've heard many people that say that they love the emergency room. She went from the emergency room up to the second floor to the intensive care, and she's a frequent flyer there at your place. But she can't speak enough of how highly the skilled the nurses are, how generous, nice, courteous, and the quality of the rooms and everything like that. So you've built a very great place there. So
well, luckily I didn't build it. I was smart enough to find people to help me build it.
Yeah.
The people that we found to work there, and I love hearing that story, by the way, about your mom. But the people that we found to work there, we focused really hard on, this is what our culture is going to be. We want to be able to offer an acute care hospital where people can receive that kind of care, and they walk out of there and go, well, it sucks that I had to go to a hospital, but that was amazing.
yeah.
They treated me a little bit differently, and it's not what I expected. And we were very, very picky about the people that we asked to work with us when we opened, and we still are, because that culture is the most important thing that we have in our business. And it's the thing that sets us apart, honestly, from any other place that I've ever worked. And that culture is so important that if we don't feel like somebody can add to that culture or help us grow that culture, then we're probably better off not working together, because it really is that important. And so it speaks really highly of the people that we've asked to work with us, because we believe wholeheartedly that not only are they making us better by being part of our business, but they're helping us make the community better.
And how do you establish that type of culture? Because that's easy to say that, all right, you're either fit or you don't. But what does that look like from the onboarding process to, or is it before that even starts, you interview people and you can see, hey, this person really is going to buy in?
You can kind of tell. I mean, when I interview somebody, I give them the rah-rah speech about what we want to do and how we want to deliver that kind of care, and the people that we get to work with and how fulfilling it is. And if their eyes glaze over and they're kind of drooling by the end of the interview, they're maybe not the right person. Mm-hmm. But if you get to the end of the interview and they're more excited about the job opportunity than when they first sat down with you, there's some real potential there. Mm-hmm. You know, the smartest thing that I ever did was hire really fantastic managers, and then I went and hid in the basement.
Yeah.
And stayed out of their way.
I don't believe that. I do not believe that.
No, the managers that we got, man, they are just phenomenal, and some of them had never been managers before this,
Right.
and they have just stepped up and knocked it out of the park. They do such a fantastic job, and that kind of culture breeds more people wanting to be
Right.
part of it, right? And we've had some people that have come in and they've struggled a little bit with it, and then they figured it out, and they figured, hey, this is a good way to do things, and I enjoy participating in this culture. And so when they buy into that, man, they become some of the stars, right, in helping us deliver that care, and they just do a phenomenal job. And really, seriously, the best thing I can do once I found those managers is get out of their way and just, I stand back with my lighter and my beach ball and I cheer them on.
Yeah.
And you know, whatever I can do to help them do their job.
Beach ball.
Yeah.
Beach ball. Let's look into a different ball, into the future. So you are a great predictor of the future. You rode up here on your Harley Davidson, and I heard that when you're going down in that basement, you're actually talking to this glass ball. And
Yeah.
talk to us. What's the future? What do you see being the next 6 months with COVID and how things have been for the last? We thought that it was going to be a month or 2 or 3, and now
Yeah.
we're dragging into 18, 20 months. And what do you see as being the future of this?
Man, I would love to tell you that December 17th will be the last day that we have to deal with this, but
It won't happen.
No, it's not going to happen. I mean, COVID's going to be around forever, just like the flu, just like 100 other things, and it's just learning to deal with it. And what we're seeing is big spikes and valleys and the infection rate, and I think we're going to continue to see that. We've got holidays coming up. People are going to get together indoors, and we'll see a spike shortly after the holidays, just like we did last year.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see those spikes get shorter and shorter. Not quickly enough, but I think it's starting to go away. We've never sat back and just said, okay, all we're dealing with right now is COVID. We've focused on what can we do to continue to grow the hospital, how can we continue to mature the hospital into something that people will trust, how can we develop new service lines that are going to bring in other physicians to the hospital and other patients to the hospital. And so we've worked on a lot of different things throughout the entire pandemic. The state has some designations for different hospitals on things like, can you take care of trauma patients? Can you take care of stroke patients? Can you take care of patients that are having a heart attack? And they actually assign designation numbers based on your accomplishments, and it's a progression. You've got to, again, you got to start
Prove yourself
out
in one.
Yep,
Yeah.
and then move up to the next one. And so during the pandemic, we were able to get our first designations in all 3 of those areas. Actually, the fact that we got accredited as a hospital within the first 30 days is unheard of.
Wow.
But again, Casey stayed in the basement and
Yeah.
let the smart people do what they do.
Yeah.
But so we've been growing the hospital that way. We're working with some new physicians about coming to the area and helping us broaden what we're doing at the hospital. We're working with some physicians out of Utah that have some specialty physicians that want to rotate up through here to help take care of kids. It's funny because when you're driven and when you want to get something done, you have people seek you out and say, hey, I'd like to work with you on that. And it's nice when they see that and you don't have to go recruit them. They recruit themselves to come work with you.
So, and kind of building on the what's in the future, you mentioned that you have this mobile, you wouldn't call it a hospital, really.
Yeah, it's a mobile doctor's office.
Mobile doctor's office. Is that being done widely currently, or is that?
Actually during COVID, that is something that was developed, right? And I need to make sure that I'm clear on this. Mountain View is the one that has the mobile office, but it's nice because one of the things that we saw in the emergency room at Idaho Falls Community Hospital is during the lockdown and during the scare, everybody was afraid to go to the hospital. That's where the COVID was, right? And so we saw people that were sick with other diseases stay home way too long.
Yeah.
And, so you'd see people with diabetes or COPD or emphysema or something like that sitting at home when maybe they should have been coming in to see their doctor. and they just weren't comfortable doing that. So this is a good option for people to continue to get health care. And sometimes it's a little bit easier if the health care comes to you. So, you know, kudos to them for developing that. Obviously, it wasn't cheap to develop.
Right.
But you know, anything that we can do to continue to help the people of this community is what we want to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that is, I mean, it's innovative, right?
Yeah.
Because there was a time when my father-in-law, who is a retired doctor, they opened an urgent care.
Yeah.
And they got sued for opening an urgent care because all the hospitals are like, wait, no,
Yeah,
you can't do that.
that.
And you still face that at some level, don't you? It would seem.
No,
not maybe it's sued, but
Yeah.
them kind of regulating or over-regulating even.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're lucky. We don't live in a part of the country where the government mandates what you can and can't do. And there are some places where they have a certificate of needs where you actually have to prove the community will benefit from us doing that. I think we've proven that, but still, we're in a part of the country where we're like, there's a need here. We've got the resources, we've got the knowledge, we think we can help the community, so we're going to fill that need. And it's a little bit different, right? But it's funny that somebody would do that.
Yeah.
And would feel like, you know, a competition thing is so bad that I'm going to sue them for opening.
Yeah.
When in fact, that actually helps the hospital.
Right.
Right? Because guess who sends you the sick patients?
Yeah.
That urgent care.
Yeah.
Right? And guess who's taking care of the patients that don't need to be in the hospital? That urgent care.
Yeah.
You know, so it's better to work collaboratively than combatively.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, so when we have a guest come on, we have them fill out a questionnaire, and Casey's kind of been a little bit humble here that he's hired good people and then he goes and hides in the basement. But I got to tell you, you have some great business leadership, some great business sense. Let me just to read this what he said here. While most measure at the bottom, just talking about you know his advice for businesses. While most measure that at the bottom line, that's all that they look at, and he goes on and talks about how the smaller victories lead to bigger ones. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And what's some great advice that I'm sure you've utilized that advice in building the teams that you have at IF Community Hospital?
Well, I think the important thing is to focus on what's the goal? What are we working for? You know, are we working to just get a hospital open? You know, if that was the only goal, then I'm done and I can go home.
Yeah.
Right? But the goal was to be able to offer something to the people of this community that was helpful, that added to their lives and helped with the growth that we're having in the community, right? And we're not done yet.
Right.
And we've been working at it for 2 years, and it doesn't mean you throw up your hands at the end of the day going, we'll never get there. It's at the end of the day, you take a look at what you got done and you go, I'm that much closer.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of leads right into our training topic that we're going to be talking about. That's persevering in business, and so yeah, that's what a great attitude that you have. You know, and I got to say that if you haven't checked out Idaho Falls Community Hospital, what a beautiful facility they have. And they'll just take care of you. My mom it's all she talks about is take me there. That's all she wants, and that's great. And I think that, you know, like my dad, he hasn't experienced the other side of the tracks, and I think someday he will. But it's a great, taking nothing away from ERMAC.
No,
they are a great institution.
They are phenomenal.
And we will, you know, people, and it'll continue to be thing here. But I got to tell people of Eastern Idaho that you got to go check this out.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that.
Absolutely great. They've got great marketing. Put a little plug in for Cherie. She works for both the community hospital and the Mountain View Hospital. Known her for years, and what a great team member she is. So, is there anything else about Idaho Community Hospital, Casey, that we would like to talk about?
You know, I think if anything is proven that we needed to do this, this was a good thing for the community. Actually, having a global pandemic proved it in spades.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
ERMAC is a fine facility. They do a great job. I know a lot of people that work over there, incredibly talented people. They're some of the best doctors still at ERMAC, and they do a phenomenal job. And I'm even friendly with the leadership over there. They're good people as well. The difference is just a difference in philosophy and how the healthcare is delivered. But when you look at how busy both hospitals have been during this pandemic and during the summer full of trauma and all of that stuff, and yeah, you know, those big bright lights on Ermac don't look any dimmer. I think they're still paying their bills and they're doing well, right?
Yeah.
But with us there, I think it's helpful for the community.
Yeah.
It gives people an option, and it makes me do better because I've got somebody to compete with.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe in my tiny little brain that it makes them do better because they've got somebody to compete with too.
Yeah.
And so the winner in that is the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was on a call last week with the two leaders from Portneuf and from Bingham, and they spoke how highly of they love the step up that healthcare has taken in all of Eastern Idaho up here, and how much that you do communicate with other hospitals.
Yeah, definitely.
And they spoke highly that what a splash Idaho Falls Community Hospital has made in this town. So
well, that's flattering. Those are both big leaders, and that's flattering to hear from them.
Yep, very great. Great. It's great to have Casey on here and talking some business, and what a great organization that he represents. Talk to us about this quote that you have.
You know, that's always been one of my favorites, and I actually heard it from my dad, who was my wrestling coach many years and many pounds ago. But it's a quote from Winston Churchill, and it says, "Success is not final, failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue on that counts." And he told me that after I lost a wrestling match to somebody that I knew I could beat, and I had to beat to be able to go to state, and it was my junior year, and so I actually had to sit out my junior year from going to state because I lost that match. And he was trying to get me to focus on what's the most important thing, focusing on what you're going to do in the future or dwelling on what just happened. Mm-hmm. And the same applies in business, right? Everybody has wins in business and everybody has losses in business, and if you're focusing on the losses and not learning from them, you're just going to sit there and wallow in it.
And go away.
Right. Probably go away. But if you can keep your eye on what you're trying to do and not rest on the laurels of that success, you're going to continue to move forward. And if you learn from the loss, if that becomes just as beneficial as a win, again, you continue to move forward. So as long as you have the fortitude to get up every morning, show up again, keep going, that's progress.
It is. It is great. Love that quote, and thank you for being here. In fact, that quote couldn't have been more better for our topic that we're going to talk about here in that. But we thank you for being here, Casey Jackman from the Idaho Falls Community Hospital. And we wish continued success with your venture that you've done here. So
as long as I stay in the basement.
Yeah.
That's whatever. All right. So we are going to watch this topic of perseverance in business is a great. In the things we're going to talk about, every entrepreneur needs to pay attention to the next 5 minutes, because this could determine whether you are thriving or just surviving in business. So we've got a quick inspirational little video here we're going to watch, and then we'll be back and talk about some traits of surviving and thriving in business.
What is perseverance? Look it up in a dictionary and you'll find that it's a very active word. It's a process, as well as a personal quality. As the Oxford English Dictionary has it, the steadfast pursuit of an aim, especially in the face of difficulty or obstacles. It's about goal direction, having a vision and the desire to complete it, no matter what gets in the way. The strength of your vision and desire to achieve your goal are essential to maintaining the ability to persevere. They give you the resilience to absorb change and the inevitable setbacks you'll encounter, and bounce back through change and adaptation. After all, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln wrote to one of his son's friends who was discouraged and said, "You cannot fail if you resolutely determine that you will not fail." It's also trust. Trust that through your own will and with the help of others, you'll achieve your goal. Seek out positive people who will encourage you and tell you when you're going wrong. If you trust them, you'll listen to them and benefit from their advice. Perseverance isn't all or nothing. It's about balance. You can't work at 100% capacity all the time. You need rest and change. If you conserve your energy and recharge your batteries regularly, you will be more effective. Perseverance is important to every aspect of our lives, at home, at work, with our friends, families, and colleagues. At work, perseverance can allow you to change the way your business works, or achieve a new culture within a department, or even transform the products and services you deliver. As long as you have goal direction, trust in your own abilities and in others, the resilience to weather challenges and setbacks, while maintaining your balance, there is nothing stopping you from becoming a steadfast and admired leader in your organization.
All right, we're back.
Yeah, great little video there. It's great tips to be successful and perseverance. The definition: persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. First line right there on the board. Absolutely a great principle. Perseverance in entrepreneurship is necessary to seek success. And this is where you whittle out the people that can't survive if they don't have perseverance in with them.
Well, if it was easy, everybody would do it.
Amen to that.
Yeah, everyone would build a hospital. I mean, right?
Or at least have a nice room downstairs.
God
like,
help them.
like you guys. Yeah, God help them. Very good. Well, I in doing some research for this training topic, I came up with a couple articles, and I just, and I don't usually do this, but I wanted to just read a couple things on here because it was so impactful. So bear with me. I'm going to read just a few things here. There are a lot of qualities needed and required in starting and running your own business. Intelligence, creativity, ambition are all required in some measure if you hope to overcome the barriers to entry to entrepreneurship. While the virtue of our system is that anyone can start a business, there is a test of those innate characteristics in the undertaking that ultimately determines those who pursue the path versus those who don't. It's an obvious oversimplification, certainly. There are barriers to entrepreneurship that have little to do with the ability that prevents many from even trying. Yet, even in a just world, with any such barriers removed and equal access granted to all, there still be those who would fall short. Even the best among us, it could be wrong sometimes. And I think that this is the most important thing, is that we are all going to get knocked down at times. I'm sure you've been knocked down a few times. Yeah. But yet it's how many times we get up after that.
Yeah, amen. If you have been in a position where you're ready just to cry, you haven't lived life,
you're not
right?
doing it right.
Yeah, you're not doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
You haven't been an entrepreneur probably. So, but that it's not how many times we get knocked down in life, but it's how many times we pick ourselves back up. Another thing that's on this quote here, it says the greatest lessons are learned in the valleys, not in the peaks. The greatest lessons are learned in the valleys, and as such, perseverance is both success and failure's best friend, with failure not being a mistake, but rather an opportunity for learning and a gateway to success. And that's what you have to look at it. Even though you may get knocked down, it's in those valleys that it makes you dig in a little bit tougher, narrow your focus, and still go for the goals that you have. Great leaders realize the lowest valleys present a platform for the highest peaks.
Yeah, and I think, and Casey, I'd love you to jump in here too, but that failure increases the capacity to do hard things. It's not fun to gain that capacity,
Sure.
but it has to happen. And also, failure loves you, because it's just saying, yeah, that goal, you can have it, just not this way.
Right. And when you do achieve that goal, and you can look back at where you were at on that valley, it makes that goal attaining so much sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I love this quote here at the bottom. The most important leadership quality, and I'm gonna have to read it because my eyes are not quite as good as what they are looking on the screen. Perseverance is both success and failure's best friend, as the greatest lessons are learned in the valleys, not the peaks. So please pay attention to that. And if you've been knocked down, get back up and make it and keep the eye on the goal. And it's the impact that you can make after you've been in that valley that will make the peak. Like the Grand Tetons we have in our background there, the peak's even better.
Yeah. Amen.
So, that's awesome.
So very good. Well, we appreciate you joining us today for some Talkin Business. Next week, we have the one and only Jeremy
Dresden Taylor, good-looking guy.
We'll
anyway.
call him Jeremy Taylor because that's his on-air name.
Yeah.
So he's with My FM here in the area. But that's just one of the that's what he does from 6 to 10 in the morning.
Yeah, he's
But I
hustling.
tell you, from 10 o'clock till 10 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, the guy is an entrepreneur. He has a marketing company. He has a salon business here in town.
Suites, yep.
And
in Utah too, so yeah.
Yep, so he's just a super entrepreneur. I'm looking forward to having Jeremy on the show next week. And then after that, we got Lynn Nelson, the owner of Alpha Graphics, that's going to be talking about, man, this guy, he has taken over the Alpha Graphics in Idaho, Utah. I don't know how many other states he's been in, but super entrepreneur. We're going to have him on the show in 2 weeks from that. So
Fantastic.
Oh, we were going to give away some
give
money.
away some money. Here we go.
50.
I got a question if someone can answer it.
Okay, bring it.
What was Casey's girlfriend's study in college?
Oh, that's a good one. Text that. Put my number up there. There's my number. If you can answer that question and would like $50 off.
I say you give them 75. If they can answer that question.
If they can get
I'm
70,
not saying
I'll give it to
you're
them.
in
That's
charge.
half price.
All right,
That's half price.
There you
That's a
go.
class
There
half
you go.
price. All right. So $75 for 4 weeks in the class of sales. Class starts tomorrow at 1:30. If you can text me the answer to that question, you could win if that class, and I don't know why that class would interest any business out there. Every business that I know pretty well has to sell something.
Yeah.
So it's a great class for $75. Wow.
Yeah.
Two of you are going to get that. So tune in and check us out. We'd love to.
Brian's phone's blowing up already.
Yeah, really. Wow. Yeah, it is. So $75 off if you text me. So we'll see you tomorrow in the sales class at the Idaho Innovation Center, brought to you by the Small Business Development Center, two of our great sponsors. So thanks for joining us today. Thanks for Casey Jackman. Give us a thumbs up. It's a traditional thumbs up that we have on our logo. So thanks, everybody. See you next week.
It's no secret that the best things in life come with the biggest price tags. The victories, the transformation, the things that ultimately define your journey, they're made of something different. And in fact, if you look at the etymology of the word extraordinary, it means outside the normal course of events. It means it requires of you something bigger. Robert Frost has a beautiful quote that the best way out is always through. The only way to redefine reality is to stop running in place and look the now square in the eyes. And when I think about my story, my growth, the greatest adversary I've faced hasn't been instances of misfortune or setbacks. Sure, they occur, but we find ways around those. My greatest adversary has been to concede to what I believed was normal. To hope or expect that somehow things would change on their own, that the world would ultimately rearrange itself for me. But this way of thinking needs to be changed, because where there is no accountability, the power is in the situation. But when you find the courage to face every problem in your life head on, you suddenly find yourself where you need to be, in control. Life is about breaking things down and rebuilding. It's remembering the meaning of the word extraordinary. And therefore stepping into the dark, the unknown, the organized chaos. Not going around the discomfort, but storming the castle, because it's here the greatness lives. It's by paying a price in strength and courage that reality will ultimately bend to your will. While life might tempt us, while pride might beg us, the best way out is always through.